Howdy, everyone, and welcome to Wild Weiss, the community podcast for Calgary Weiss Schwartz. I'm today's host, Tim Jency. Today, we've got perhaps the most renowned player in North American Weiss Schwartz on the show to pick his brain. 2016 English Weiss World Champion, owner of Strictly Broken trading card game shop in Vancouver, co-host of the Best Review Show, producer of near daily Weiss Schwartz YouTube content. The list goes on, but I'm going to have to stop it here. Welcome, Yuwei Peng, to Wild Weiss. How are y'all doing?
Oh man, uh, I'm blushing a little bit, man. That's quite the introduction. Do I go? Do I refer to you as Tim? Is that what you'd prefer?
Yep.
Or
I mean,
awesome.
if we're using your name, we're using mine. It's only fair.
All right. Yeah. Wow. I'm doing great. Better after that introduction.
Well, it always helps to blow some smoke up our asses, right?
Yeah, man. Whew, okay. Well, cheeks are red, but I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no, this has been on my interview wish list for a while. So, honestly, it sounds like we're both ready and raring to go. So, let's get into some questions to learn about the Yue Peng. First off, you initially get into Weiss Schwartz. What hooked you into this crazy cringe game we play?
Crazy cringe game. It was grade 12. I was 17. I was a big Yu-Gi-Oh player. Very
Okay.
young. We all played Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like. And my friend, he just I didn't watch any anime at the time. I'll be honest. I didn't know what anime was. And my friend brings this Sword Art Online English trial deck to school, and he's like, "Yo, bro, this game is sick." And he's trying to get me into anime. He's telling me about these cards. He plays Yu-Gi-Oh with me, and he shows me this, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll play with you." I buy this Madoka deck, and it was Gate Book. You remember Apple's Bond?
Oh, I love that deck.
Yeah, I buy this like complete meta deck at the time, and I just smoke him right because he's playing trial deck. And then he never played with me again. But a few months later, I found a community of people. Shout outs to Russell, shout outs to Kyle, shout outs to Ren, who welcomed me in. They were all in college, and so they took me to their college club where they played Weiss Schwartz, and that's all she wrote, and I still play to this day.
Okay. So it sounds like when you started getting into Weiss Schwartz there was already a bit of a scene in Vancouver.
Yeah, for sure. It was huge at the time, man. It was honestly crazy. It was bigger than it is now, actually. Even we used to
Okay.
have like 100-man locals. It was actually
Wow.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, because I know around the same time I was playing in Victoria, decent sized scene, I think about 10 folks. But yeah, I couldn't imagine just 100 people coming out for local tournaments. That's insane.
yeah. We had to like set up these tables outside this card shop everyone went to, and yeah, uh, Vancouver probably one of the bigger North American scenes for sure.
Hmm. And it sounds like you've had a ton of fun in this Vancouver scene. What would you say, just kind of at the local level, then kind of expanding out to the big tournaments, or some of your favorite parts of this scene?
Just the I guess engagement with the anime culture. You asked what hooked me in, and it's really that. Over time, it really became an anime thing, and just the people. They really love the game, like really love the game. There are some scenes that get hyper competitive. I think when I first joined at the time, it was really about the anime, and you could learn a lot from the people. They were all like huge anime fans. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Actually, it's funny. Every so often, I see people will say Yue Peng loves anime in top big cap letters, and here you are saying that before you got into Weiss Schwartz, you weren't even into anime. Did that kind of get you into anime, and then get you to Yue loving anime?
yeah, definitely. And the "I love anime" quote that I have actually started as kind of like an ironic statement, a borderline bullying.
Oh
I wouldn't
no.
call it bullying, but it's kind of like, when people project very, very, very like boastfully saying something, it's obviously to be sarcastic. That's how it started. I actually, when I first started saying I love anime, it was definitely, I did not know much about anime. But over time, I definitely love anime. I mean, I have so many max decks that I do watch anime. So I do think now I really do love anime, but it wasn't always like that.
Okay. Quick hit. What is Yue Peng's favorite anime?
Oh man. Uh I'm known for like being this like sword art geek a little bit, but I definitely think my favorite anime of all time, it's like a toss between, Bungo Stray Dogs. Really like
Ooh.
that one. Like it's in my like top, but like I always tell people I really like Sakurazo, the pet girl. I think that's what they call
Mm.
it in English. That's probably my favorite anime. Sakurazo, pet not Kano, I can't pronounce it, but yeah.
It's like
And,
Pet Kanojo or whatever.
Kanojo, yeah,
Yeah, I think that one's actually on my list. So you've given me some homework here.
for sure. Kevin, one of Kevin's favorites too. So yeah.
Oh, Saikano.
No, yeah, Saikano is his favorite, but
Yeah.
Pet Girl I think is in his top
Oh,
5. Yeah.
okay. I understand. I understand. All right. Speaking about scenes, loving anime, if you had to pick one tournament out of the many that you've played in as your favorite overall experience, which one would it be? And can you lay it out for us?
It's definitely, man. I've been to a lot of tournaments. I don't know if you know, like a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I think my favorite of all time is definitely the one where I won in California. It was that one was very meaningful for me. So it was I think it was, man, what was it? It was Kara Expo, I think 2018, 2017. I had just, there's a lot of doubters in the Weiss Schwarz community sometimes. I think all of my regional wins were in BC. And a lot of people say, well, like, can you win outside of BC? And so I go to California. This was after I got third in Toronto, so I was already qualified for Worlds. And I just go to California. I was like, well, it's Kara Expo anyways, hang out with friends, might as well play this tournament. I lose round one, 300 and something man tournament, and I
Oh,
just proceed
Jesus.
to go undefeated for the rest of the tournament. That was 8 rounds of Swiss into 3 games of top cut, all sunshine, by the way. And I won that tournament, and I think that's definitely my favorite. I have really fond memories of that event.
Yeah. And you're saying it's meaningful because it's one of those moments where it's like, if I've understood this correctly, you got the haters, and all of a sudden you're down in a tournament where if you go X2, you're out. You probably have the haters in the back of your head there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially losing round one. It's like, man, okay, well, I probably can't win outside of BC region, I guess, home soil, and we just go undefeated for the rest of the tournament. It's crazy. Yeah.
Maybe it's just the Pacific time zone that you're real clutching.
Maybe because Toronto, I got third, so yeah, maybe not as clutch. And I got DQ'd in New York, so maybe it's a specific time zone for sure.
Oh no, I've been in Rochester. I played in Hamburger once, and I love the tournament organizers, but that store is hard to concentrate in.
Yeah, so jam packed. You're like bumping butts with like 20 or so people every event. It's very
Yeah.
packed.
Well, yeah, I remember even just one time I had to use the washroom, and the judges were busy, so I was like, "Time to go to the Goodwill."
For sure, man.
Yeah.
I do not like playing at that venue. Great tournament though.
No, they're great. Transitioning over to the media side, you were able to create a ton of great Weiss content at a really great frequency. How do you manage it?
That goes with my content philosophy a little bit, and I'm sure some people might disagree with my content philosophy. I'm a true believer of like frequency over quality. I'm not saying I produce bad quality content, but definitely I feel like there are people who produce like really high grade way short content that takes a ton of editing and effort. But the issue with that is it's not frequent, and I feel like in
Mhm.
a growing game that has we have to really attach onto people's attention. Frequency is more valuable than quality. And then when you really get an established audience, then you push for quality. And I feel like that's the philosophy I go with. That's why I'm able to produce a lot of content, because I think we reduce some of the quality to increase the frequency.
Mm.
And I think over time, then we try to like outsource, get sponsors, get other people involved, and that's how we improve quality. But at the base level, you want to go with frequency first. And this philosophy all came to me because did you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh, Tim?
Uh, I played Yu-Gi-Oh like in my mom's basement with my older brother because when I was kind of at that age when Yu-Gi-Oh would have been something I'd play competitively. This would have been about 2003, 2004. So if you liked anime at all, it'd get stuffed into loggers and called homosexual slurs. So yeah, you didn't do it out in public.
Fair, fair. That's really unfortunate to hear. The thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh from back in the day though is I remember, and I don't know if you watch any YouTube videos of Yu-Gi-Oh. Back in the day, it was so small, and the quality was honestly abysmal. But because of the frequency, I think the content is what was able to push Yu-Gi-Oh into like third biggest trading card game period now. And I think you have to treat Weiss Schwarz content in the same way, where you want to focus on quantity first and the quality later once the quantity really helps grow a bigger community, right?
Yeah.
Once the community is bigger, quality will pay for itself.
I definitely feel that because I know I just shelved an article the other day that I put a month into, and it's rough because it's like you want. I'm definitely a quality first sort of person because I'm in academia, but I definitely respect the way you're doing it because at the end of the day, you've got stuff for people to look at. Well, I put a bunch of time into something, and I look at the graphs, it doesn't make sense, and back into the drawer it goes.
Yeah, which is the risk, because sometimes, even in academia, they'll say the process is so valuable and so intricate and so it's actually really good content to see someone's process. But frequently, you'll throw out the end product because it's embarrassing. But sometimes just seeing how people mess up is also really beautiful. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm not saying our content has zero abysmal quality. Like, I'm not trying to say that, but I'm saying we prioritize getting it out and then worrying about perfection later. So yeah,
Mm.
and hopefully you'll read your article. I'd love to read it actually, but
Yeah, it's the problem is the math doesn't work. I
uh,
thought it did, it didn't. And this kind of flows into the next question. What do you do when you get writer's block?
what do I do when I get writer's block? Well, I'm in the wonderful situation of not needing to write too much anymore. I'm done my school. Uh, I don't write, but I guess writer's block applies to content too. And I have frequent brainstorming sessions with everyone on the Strictly Broken content team. It was me, Thomas, and John before, and now we added Kevin. And we brainstorm a lot. Like, we talk, and if I have writer's block, the chance that three other people have writer's block is almost zero, right? So
Mhm.
that should be able to solve those problems. And like, I watch your content too, and you have a team of people that appear frequently. Hopefully, they help you solve your writer's block problems, because bouncing ideas is how you get out of those difficult
Mhm.
lulls, right?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we definitely it's a strength that Wild Wild Weiss is that there's about 10 of us that I would say make content. So it's even if I only have like a small idea, it's easy enough to touch and go.
Mm, for sure, for sure.
Have you been finding it more or less difficult to kind of brainstorm now that we're more virtual? Well, I guess with Kevin, it's going to always be virtual, but have you found that being an impediment?
Uh, I mean, mm, mm, a little bit. It's always great having, like, in-person sessions. I mean, the one I haven't, Kevin said he's met me in person. I've never. I feel like the virtual barrier is solved once you meet a person in person once, and
Hmm.
then you talking to them online feels like you're talking to them in person. But if you haven't never met yet, definitely you can't put the face to the online. But I don't think it's a huge issue, honestly. And what do you
Mhm.
think? Like, I don't think it's a huge issue? Question mark.
Uh, I find it depends. Like if I'm working with colleagues in Ottawa, then I make do. But I find that sometimes just the spontaneous ideas that come over like a plate of fries or something just don't come.
Ah, fair enough. That kind of, raw, you get the camaraderie, you get the laugh,
Yeah.
the energy. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I do agree with that actually. Um, yeah, for sure. No, I agree then. I agree. I sympathize with that.
Mhm. Keeping on that YouTube train of thought, and Strictly Broken and White's Tea Time Run, a review show that you've been on quite a few times. Would you be able to describe at a high level, given you are on this review show, what's your general process in evaluating a set? What do you look for? What do you like to see?
And Nova TCG, by the way, one of our sponsors,
Nova,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I got to plug, contractually obligated to plug. Shout out to
Love
Nova
it.
as well. Waste Tea Time as well. Uh, Great sponsors, great people. So the review show is kind of born out of how I approach evaluating sets when I'm building decks. Like, what better way to make content than how you would do something? And what I usually do is I look at cards, and it's actually usually just double R's and rares. So I just look at those, and then I make make my judgments based on that. And in a similar style to how we do it on the review show, I'm usually doing it with a few people, and Sorry, I got lost in your question a little bit. Is that am I answering it properly?
No,
Like,
you're on a perfect train. Love it.
um, yeah, I just that's how I review sets. I just look at cards and I decide and I categorize them as like, okay, this is probably not worth testing. This is probably worth testing. This and that's what a good card is for me, and a card that's not worth testing is like, or bad cards are our ones. Yeah, and then I go through that, and then by the end of my like brainstorming session, I'll have like a list of cards, all the cards that we would basically give three, fours, and fives, and I build decks revolving around those cards. So the review shows actually exactly how I go about deciding whether a set is good, whether I want to play a set, and etc. So yeah,
Okay. So, have you noticed kind of what sort of cards that you bias towards being good that you'll get pushback, say in the comments or in the Twitch chat, being like, "UA, what the heck?" or "UA, that I think this card is better than what you think." Kind of, what are your biases here
like what kind of cards
that you personally like?
man, I personally love. What do I love? I love cards that. Man, this changes. This changes. So, me saying something, I feel like later on I'm gonna get quoted here, and it does change. I've always been, but I like really strong zeros, though. I think, time and time again, I like zeros that do something really neat, really sick. Kirito back row from 10th Annie, Asuna Renner again from 10th Annie. Cowgirl PRs, so the console plus
Hmm.
distraught. Like, I like really good zeros. Kome fives to zeros, and I'll rarely give fives to top end because I think if you have cards that can help you do really well at zero, it gives you like a small early game lead that you can sometimes use to just snowball a whole game.
It's almost like you really value that foundation, and then you build the rest of the house up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, foundation's a great word. There are some zeros that they do an effect that will just really just set up for the game in a really great way. Cowgirl PR for a standby deck is just such a great setup card. Kome, that's
Mhm.
card is broken. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Is there any cards that you don't particularly like that you see a lot of people like, "Oh, this is a great thing to have," and you're just like, I'm not feeling it."
I don't really care for I don't really care for powerful top end that much. And this changed because I used to care about it a lot. But I feel like, okay, this might get very conceptual really quick, but it's like some people play such powerful top ends, but Weiss Schwarz really incentivizes players to play in a way where they don't use their top end unless it's a guaranteed kill or they feel like they have a good shot at killing. And, when you put yourself in those spots where you have a good shot at killing, a lot of finishers can kill in those spots. And so the more powerful top ends actually have like diminishing returns to
Mm,
those scenarios because people will play for those turns in a very similar way with weaker top ends. Does that make sense? So
yeah,
I feel like really powerful top ends are overrated.
okay. And if I've understood correctly, it's because given the scenario that you would be willing to just throw down your finish, like deplete your resources, bend your hand constraint, you might get a kill with a less flashy top end.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And uh that's how people play. That's how people love to play Way Shores, especially in the mid game. They like to durdle until they have like think they have a good shot at killing. Not a lot of people go for that. Let's just Ricky myself twice, go to three, try to kill someone. Just not the way that most people play Way Shores. So yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I just feel like
Yeah, it almost seems overly aggressive in the game. The game incentives aren't set up for it.
yeah. I will say unless the finisher is like absolutely bonkers, there are some ones that I feel like the new one from Day I Became God. I feel like from like a 3-1, 3-0, it's gonna kill people a lot of the time. So especially if you have the event set up. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's too specific now. So yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's definitely a set that I'm looking at because I'm one of the few people who thought that show was okay, and I'm a kimono bro, so I love me events.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that you're saying that early returns are good.
Yeah.
Going on to specific sets, has there ever been a set that you just wanted it to be good, but it wasn't?
Oh god, a ton. I get made fun of a lot for being like I make these like public posts saying this set's pretty good, and then people end up saying it's like doggy doo doo. But like one of those was Batman. I thought it looked pretty good. I got to see the cards in advance, right? Because I own a store, we got to open it
Yeah.
in advance, and it looked pretty good to me. But I feel like it being not an anime, a real anime, and it being, I don't know. I feel like criminally underrated for sure. So that was one of them. But like a set, but I didn't really play the set too much. A set that I really wanted to be good, but it just wasn't fantastic. Like I think in Japanese, one of them was what's it called? Gun Gale Online. It was okay. I had high hopes for it, but it just
Mm.
I have that stuff maxed and it don't play it anymore because it's just not gonna. It doesn't get you there. It doesn't get you there.
Actually, one of the things that you brought up with Batman and it not being a real anime is something that's always bounced around in my head is I wonder if Batman Ninja would have been more commercially successful if it had just been Batman and not Batman Ninja.
That's a great question, and I don't know. I don't know because what I felt like Batman failed to capture over it just being like Batman Ninja and not Batman was, Waste as a game failed to reach that audience in a successful way, right?
Mhm.
Like the diehard Batman fans love any kind of Batman memorabilia. There's some like really cringy Batman memorabilia that Batman fans will buy. But I feel like it just this game didn't reach them through marketing or whatever. And I'm not saying this is anyone's fault. I'm just saying
Mhm.
marketing's hard. And
Oh, yeah.
like look at recently. Now I see a bunch of people want Batman, but that's because Weiss Schwarz was put on the map by people who are much better at marketing, like Alpha Investments. Like they reached a wider audience than probably a lot of mediums could have. And now people want Batman, and the Batman cards are just bought out and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you guys aren't stuck with them anymore because, time is money with that sort of thing.
I lost a ton of money on that, anyways, man. I
Oh,
I
no.
lost a ton of money on Batman. I don't want to talk about it. Listen.
I'm sorry I cut the wound a little.
Oof. Yeah.
Keeping on with specific sets, in one of the Bushiroad 2021 Springfest held earlier in May, you played Bofuri on recommendation of the chat. Was it fun?
Yeah. So I was testing Bofuri the week leading up to Springfest online, and Chad told me to enter the tournament on Bofuri. I Was it fun? Yeah, for sure. It's really fun for me being like this sounds really ego, like I'm not trying to ego here, but it's really fun for me when I get to do well with a deck that not a lot of people do well with. That's just a good feeling. So yeah, it was fun.
Hmm.
I wish I could have gone further than top eight. I got knocked out in top eight by Sunshine hitting threes and good player too, Darcy from WCC. Good great player. So uh yeah, but yeah, it was really fun being able to play Bofuri. It was a bit of a struggle because I felt like if I played like the better decks, like if I was on Dow, I would have just won and gone further in the tournament. But still making top eight with Bofuri feels awesome. So
Hmm. Did people potentially knowing your build make it a bit more difficult?
I feel like it. So Darcy in top eight actually knew some of the cards and knew a lot of the cards, and maybe he just researched well for the event. But one of the beauties of playing a new set is that you get the benefit of people not necessarily knowing your cards, and I definitely felt like a lot of my opponents knew that I played in Swiss. I think Darcy was actually even watching the stream the week leading up to the tournament, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. So yeah, it would have been cool if people didn't know my effects and they played into something, but Darcy didn't play into something, so kudos to him.
Yeah. Given the chance, would you let a bunch of strangers select your deck again?
Yeah, every time, man. Content first and doing well in tournament second, man.
I guess let's push this one step forward. Would you let for the next if there's another major online or tournament with streaming, would you do a stream where you build a deck by committee?
No. I series is one thing. I think my deck building in this game really puts me above, like in terms of my like it's skill, whatever. Everyone can get hit a certain skill level. I'm really good at deck building, I think, in my opinion. And I wouldn't play a list that other people build for me. It's too risky. I just don't
Mm.
think I do well. Yeah.
So you'd be giving up your competitive advantage.
Yeah, well, I don't want to, not trying to ego again, but I just if I think I have a good deck building, then why would I want other people to build my deck? So that one would be way too risky. Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be bizarre for sure too, because like there's no guarantee that the ratio actually makes sense if he went like full Twitch builds a deck.
Yeah, exactly. Or like exactly that exactly. They'll give you some weird ratio you'll play, be like, I don't need four of this card. Oh my god, this is disastrous. Yeah. No.
10 zeros, what the hell?
Yeah, no, no, never.
Alrighty. Moving on to some more organizational stuff. On July 31st, 2021, Strictly Broken TCG and Dan's Ranch will host a legacy format tournament, including sets up to August 1st, 2012. How did this tournament come into being?
We don't have old school Weiss. This is crazy, right? Because Weiss has so many series that are great in old school Weiss, right? Strong, Zero no Tsukaima, the boogeyman of of that format. And someone who's a Zero no Tsukaima fan who wants to get into this game because of Zero no Tsukaima will quickly realize that their deck is like horrible for the present day. And so why haven't we done more of these in the past, right? That's where the idea came about. Like, why have we not explored past formats? Because that's how we like get people who are fans of older series to get a chance to play their deck in an environment where they can actually do well. So it just made sense, right? It just made a
Mhm.
lot of sense.
And then why 2012 in particular?
I think that was there's actually so Kevin actually gave me a bunch of different formats that I think you guys have tested or something or played or tried out or thought about. And this one was significant because it was the last ban list before Bushiro decided to actually remove a lot of like really powerful outlying cards. Like the next ban list after August 2012 was
Right.
huge. It like cleared off a bunch of problem cards. So that just seemed to make a lot of sense, Play
Okay.
the format that had the most liberty because not a lot of things were hit. And the last one before a lot of things got hit. So yeah.
Well, now that you've said that Kevin gave you a list of formats that we tried out, I'm really curious because I don't know what we've actually tried in Calgary.
I mean, I could be misspeaking, right? Maybe he just talked about it briefly. Maybe he didn't actually try him out. I just thought he tried it out because he had a document of like all these old formats. I'm like, wow, wow, like this must have been from a conversation or something. But if you guys didn't
Hmm.
try it out, like maybe I'm just misspeaking.
Yeah, I don't like Kevin might have tried it out with some other people, but I don't recall playing prior formats. Like
Fair enough.
like the furthest that I've seen at Calgary is I know we did a 24-hour Weiss. So what? This is almost 5 years ago now. Uh, and so we were playing just wacky dice Schwartz mode. We refined big boy mode where you level a climax, fail to do so, you must lose the game.
I've never played Dice Wars. It always sounds so hilarious. But yeah, I could be misspeaking, right? Maybe Kevin just gave it some thought himself. But yeah, he had a document, and I looked through all th's formats, and I'm like, we're just like 2012 makes a lot of sense, and I'm gonna run with it.
Yeah. No, Kevin's a really thoughtful guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he just has a document like that kicking around.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking about Kevin, Strictly Broken TCG sponsors several players with a lot of their own tournament pedigree, including Kevin and Human. Walk me through your team building process when you're picking players to sponsor and building the SB TCG team.
I want to thank you, by the way, Tim, for being so open to I opened up a conversation with Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, I want you to join the content team on Strictly, and for Wild Wild Ways to be so open about that transition. So, right now is a great opportunity to say thank you to you and your team. But yeah,
Well, to be fair, uh, the first time I heard about it was when you announced it.
oh
But Kevin was also like, "Yeah, I can't do single stuff, but I'd probably be able to drop in the podcast from time to time." I'm like, "Oh, perfect. That's all I need."
yeah, that's totally fine. Like I have
Yeah.
no issue with that. It's just brand this guy, Kevin, awesome dude with Strictly. He can continue doing everything that he was doing before, but let's get him on. Let's get him some better gear for his setup and go from there. Anyways, how do I go about picking people? I just being good. So I have this like thing that I said on stream once, and I'm not this vain. I'm not vain. Is that the right word? I'm not like this. I don't judge people solely based on this, but it's like an interesting thing to think about. There is skill level on one side, and then there is charisma on the other. And
Mm.
this is like a pendulum where if you have like really high skill, very low charisma, there is a strong argument for you on the team. But if you have very low skill but very high charisma, it also works. Obviously, it's like you can not every player will fall into a low skill, high charisma and vice versa, but it's good to think about like how it's just, you know, you don't have to be good. You just have to be
You have to be
very
fun.
charismatic in your content or yeah, fun, exactly. And I don't judge people based on this like pendulum, right? But it is just you could think about it that way and how we use it to measure people. But
Mhm.
without I'm not trying to measure people here, but
It almost sounds like a matrix, like one of those matrices from business school where you put like just two variables and then you get the four squares.
uh I I mean, yeah, I did go to business school. That's what I studied in university. So but I wouldn't say I got this from business school, but something like that, like a SWOT analysis or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking the BCG matrix.
Ah.
For a player just starting Weiss in 2021, what advice do you have for them?
Uh, Man, it's 2021's wild. Uh, the it's I would recommend picking up a starter deck. With the starter deck pluses, ever since they introduced that a few years back, I feel like starter decks, trial decks, they're actually really strong. Don't spend like hundreds of dollars on like a playset, which by the way you can, and you can do so on sptg.ca, strictly broken TCG.ca. But a trial deck has everything you need to learn the game and actually compete in the game. And it's going to cost you like 20, depending on where you are, right? 20, $30, maybe 15 even, if you're lucky. You go with that first. If you don't like the game, it's hard. Low investment, low cost. Do that. And, for people who love anime and are just getting into the game for the art and everything, a starter deck has like 12 different arts in it already from the animes and some really good scenes too. So I just think those starter decks are perfectly designed. Just start with that. Don't go in too hard in the beginning. And 'cause if you don't like the game,
Yeah,
it's hard to get out when you spend like $350 plus.
yeah, no kidding. From the varied perspectives you have on Weiss Schwartz, player, retailer, mentor, content creator, do you personally believe Bushiroad has done anything that's limited the popularity of Weiss Schwartz?
Sometimes I feel like not anything that's like limiting. Their company that and they do a great job at what they do, but sometimes I feel like marketing is just a very hard department, like field
Yeah.
in business. And you know, I feel like you have this like element which is anime, and to see this game not be booming harder than it is like you have to ask like how are you like they recently got into a partnership with My Anime List, and I think that's what should have happened years ago. Like I literally just got an email an hour ago where My Anime List sent me an email where it's like, oh, Sora Online Alicization Volume 2 pre-orders are available for way shorts. I don't know if did you get an email like that or
Uh, I'm not gonna lie, I am god awful with my email because Gmail puts stuff into the updater, the promotions folder, and then I never see it.
fair. Fair enough. But yeah, that is an email I literally just got an hour ago, and I think they should have been doing this years ago, and they're doing it now, and it's never too late. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's marketing is hard. That's all I can say.
I wonder if they swing something with Crunchyroll or Funimation next.
Yeah, for sure. That's or an anime based streamer. There's a lot of streamers that are focused on anime, like big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the next few months, is there anything immediate you think that Weiss communities can do to help grow the game?
Uh, Stock more waste. um, some stores are so scared to stock waste, but it's like just buy some waste, man, for your community. So that's like referring to the store owners, but communities, like I feel like some communities talk about the anime more with the beginners and the new people. Some people get too nitty gritty into the game too quick, and that's like a thing that I want to say about the community and at large. And now I have a platform on your podcast or your interview. I can say
Love
this,
it.
man. Sometimes I feel like the anime. I have a video where I say this exact same thing actually, but like the anime is just feels pulled away from this game sometimes. Like a new player comes in and people are talking to him about probability canceling and like you know, refreshing well and like, bro, there's anime scenes on your cards. Just talk about the anime a little bit. Like oh my goodness, so yeah, I feel like that's where the player base falls short a little bit sometimes.
It's almost like we've missed the forest for the tree.
Exactly. Like, man, like, well, I can't even remember the last time I talked about a scene on one of my cards. So like, it's man, like I am at fault here as well because I
I
look at
th-
this game from like a
yeah.
hyper competitive lens. So
Well, I think part of it's also if you play a deck a lot, you're desensitized to the seed on the cards, right? You're just remembering it's like, okay, this is what this does, and I need this here, here, and here. You're not thinking about, oh, this combo is so flavorful, right?
exactly, and I mean, I just that's a fault that all of us need to be more mindful of and think about.
Yeah,
So yeah.
because I think the last time I spoke with someone about the scenes on the cards I was playing, we were playing against a new player, and I was playing a janky Macross Frontier build that I'd thrown together because I saw cards like, what the hell does this actually do? So I tried to build around it, and it's my favorite scene from the movie.
Mhm.
And he's no one else had noticed it this whole weekly until like I think it was the second or third game, and he looks at it, he's like, "Oh my god, Alto's gonna do it!" And I'm just like, "Yes!" And it was a new player.
There you go. See, the new player has that. They have that kind of, they have that like feeling for the arts because they're new. But when they, get more enfranchised into the game, then they lose it as well. And we gotta learn from these new players sometimes. And
It almost sounds like we all have to be a bit more humble and be a bit more open.
yeah, a little bit. It's hard though. But yeah, definitely,
Oh,
absolutely.
for sure. And yeah, we're all guilty of it. Final question: what would you say has been one of the most rewarding moments of running a card store?
I think the first time when people told me that being Canadian, you can probably attest to this. We don't get to be like at the forefront of a lot of industries.
Mm,
Uh, and I'm talking about big industries here, but like definitely small ones too. Like the fact that I think the largest North American retailer is Canadian for Weiss Schwarz, or not retailer, but like card store.
yeah.
That's cool. Get to be proud of being Canadian and doing this. And furthermore, I think a lot of the first time someone told me that they got cards from us and it was like a fast experience, it was a great experience. The cards look great. That really is the most rewarding thing. We've gotten a ton of flame in the past few years over a couple decisions we've made. I don't want to set a specific one, but I think you already know.
Yep.
In your head, a couple that maybe I got woo, a little bit spicy, but yeah, it's always so rewarding to hear like your service is awesome. The cards look great. Sometimes people tag us in their Twitter posts, Instagram posts. That feels awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, every time that happens, it makes up for all the times I hear, "Man, Strictly really sucks. Fuck that place." Like it, like it makes it.
Yeah.
It feels
No,
great.
it's awesome to hear that the good outweighs the bad. And one thing you mentioned about the one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Weiss Schwarz card store in North America being a Canadian store, being SBTCG. Uh, with JKTCG kind of taking a step back here, do you think there is an opportunity for Strictly Broken to become kind of the market maker, or at least one of the major price setters for Weiss Schwarz, or is trading Canadian dollars going to be a major setback?
So I never. It's much better for me to say something like this on someone else's platform rather than ours. So that's why I've never actually publicly ever said this. But Strictly Broken TCG is first and foremost a store and not a price guide. And if you want to look at our prices and look at what's selling to get some kind of inclination on how you want to price your cards, that's up to you. But that is not our goal. So that is so I can say here that that
Mm.
is not our goal. We're not in the mogul move. We're not making mogul moves to become a price price setter. There are a lot of market ways in the market to be able to get an idea of what something should be priced at.
Mhm.
Uh, but with JKTCG taking a step back, it is a great opportunity to be like undoubtedly the biggest. And that's why we started doing stuff like scans, because that now we know we have like this audience that is on our site. JK closes, and some people flock to us now. Yeah, so we're trying to up our service, and this is what I meant earlier when I said like you can worry about quality later, because once you need quality, it will become monetarily viable for you to go for that kind of quality. Like a lot of
Mhm.
more people are checking out the site, and we're like at Strictly, the managers, staff decided, yo, we should probably get these like high res scans started on this site, because people are on our site like so much more, and now that's happening, and the quality is going up, right? So quality, I feel like, is a byproduct of success. So
Mhm.
that will just come in time. Also, quality could lead to success, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't. It definitely can't. But yeah. So that is. I hope I answered that question.
No, that's perfect, and actually, it's one thing that you said that I think I truly appreciate is I know when I'm reading through, some comments on, like, Weiss Global, this is me being spicy right now. I think people rely on price guides too much.
Yeah, for sure. And they're looking to latch onto something. They're looking to latch onto something to give them comfort. But in fact, the existence of JK was a form of comfort that I can't even necessarily say was objectively or subjectively even proper or correct, because you know some sort of means giving you comfort is dangerous.
Mhm.
And this is starting to get like a little bit moral, a little bit philosophical, but like uh the I just totally agree with you. I feel like needing a price guide is a bit of unnecessary. It's a bit
Well,
of
it's funny because you're giving someone market power, and when realistically, if you're willing to go out and check different stores, check different retailers, check with your friends, you will find a good price instead of everyone going to this person that has, for whatever reason, been given market power. They can then set a price which won't be your utility maximizing price.
yeah, absolutely, for sure. Here's the other thing. I feel like the ideal way, like an ideal scenario of how people should be using stores like Strictly Broken TCG is this. You should be going to your local game store, supporting them by buying some boxes, and then just finish your deck with Strictly. That's how it always should be. That's how like these things should work. Me being this like huge online presence, it should be you support your LGS, finish your deck with Strictly. Not you shouldn't be like building. Oh, I mean, some stores don't stock waste. Sometimes boxes are sold out. You come to Strictly for your deck, sure, but the did I get lost in the sauce here? But I'm just
No,
saying
no,
like
no.
the utility of these things. Uh, Definitely, I feel like people sometimes go about it wrong, and I'm not sure if maybe I got lost in your point that you made earlier, but I felt like, I'm,
No, I think you're really following up. It's like, yeah, go to your LGS and support them. And that's the funny thing is, and I think not a lot of people really think about like volume discounts. They don't really think about locicity, economies of scope.
Mhm.
Yeah, like support your game store. Then if you can't, once you can't do it local, then you start looking out. And I think that unless you're living in a place that's very hard to ship to, like Calgary does have that issue because we're in the middle of a goddamn field. But, yeah, no, so it's like, yeah, there isn't much of an excuse to not go to your LGS first to get the boxes because otherwise they're getting a better price on shipping than you will be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
so instead of relying on that like a market maker, yeah,
yeah,
work with your LGS.
and that's why I feel like in some ways, like some people want like a store like Strictly to be the cheapest price. Like, no, we should not be the absolute cheapest price, because we don't really want to give incentives for people to like not ever go to the LGS, right? We
Mhm.
want I'm not saying like we're setting prices high so people go to their LGS. No, but like if Strictly had like dirt poor cheap prices like some. What incentive do people have anymore to buy boxes from the LGS? And that just doesn't work. That doesn't make sense. And finish just like yeah. So finish your decks online. Shop locally first. I think that's like a good philosophy to go about things. But if you can't or you don't want to, strictlybrokentcg.ca is always available. We got a lot of stock. We're a big store, guys. Check us out. Plug. Cringe. I'm down.
No, I love it. I love it. And that's the big burning questions that I and the Calgary Weiss Schwartz community have for you. And this has been an awesome interview. Loved every moment, to be perfectly frank. But before we go, I'd like to see if you'd be down for a game of rapid fire.
Sure. Yeah.
So, for those who don't listen to old Fox hockey podcasts or TV shows, count me among them. Rapid Fire is a segment that Jane Onright and Dan O'Toole did on their Fox Sports show, Jay and Dan. They would ask a series of lighter, sillier questions in quick succession, most of them yes or no. When they went back to TSN here in Canada, they left the segment behind. My buddy on a different podcast decided to take it from them, and I stole it from him. So this is dumpster diving squared. Are you down?
I'm down. Yeah.
All right. Better meta, English or Japanese?
English.
Best place for food after weeklies in Vancouver or New Westminster?
Place for food. Uncle Willie's.
Uncle Willie's, perfect. Best hangout spot in Vancouver?
Strictly Broken TCG. Or Ghost Mountain.
Or Ghost Mountain, perfect. Is Data Live overrated?
Yes.
Does Kevin deserve the flaming he gets?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Actually, it's really funny. When I plugged that question in and told my wife about it, she was like, I hope Yuwei just like, who's Kevin? Just like brush the shoulder.
Sorry. I should have gone with that. Oh, missed opportunity. Oh my god.
Oh well. You can rip them later. All right. That wraps us up for today. Thanks again, Yuwei, for agreeing to come on. I think we recorded something great. If you like what you heard in this interview, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Search Wild Weiss. You'll find our previous interview with Annie Evo champion Kilua, along with a bunch of other thoughtful Weiss discussion from the Calgary community. If you want to check out our written work, head on over to wildwildweiss.wordpress.com. Our video materials on YouTube, search Wild Weiss. Follow us on Twitter at Wild Weiss, or check out the Calgary Weiss Schwartz community on Facebook or Discord. Now, Yuwei, you've been dropping plugs throughout the episode. Do you want to centralize them all here? Where can our lovely listeners find you?
All right. Firstly, if you need to buy some Weiss Schwartz English singles, you know where to go. sbtcg.ca, strictlybrokentcg.ca, or .com. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/strictlybroken, facebook.com/strictlybroken, not dash, I think, whatever it's called. I think it is dash. No, it's slash. Twitter.com/sbtcg, instagram.com/ I don't even remember Instagram. It is what it is. Also, shout outs to the best ever Weiss Schwartz set review show sponsors, Nova TCG, Weiss Tea Time. Shout outs, come on. This is my floor. This is my opportunity. Man, I'm actually so bad.
Yourself.
Anything else? Shout outs to all the sponsored players on the Strictly Broken TCG Pro team. Shout outs to all the content creators on the Strictly Broken TCG team. I'm not going to list them all. Yeah, thank you so much. Shout out to Wild Weiss for having me on. You guys are awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love your content, honestly. When I heard you wanted me on, I was like, dude, I'm actually a fan. Like, no memes. I'm not like a diehard fan. I'm not gonna be able to quote any like videos in particular, but I play you guys when I'm working. So I'm a lurker. I'm a lurker.
We love it. Now you're an active member. How does it feel?
Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored. When do I get a t-shirt, man? Sign me up.
We actually made playmats. We'll have to ask Kira about that if you want one.
Hell yeah. You sign me up.
Yeah, okay. Sick. All right. This has been Wild Weiss. Yuwei is getting a playmat. Until next time, this has been Igor Squatslav.
Thanks, man.
And I hope to see y'all next time.
Peace. Thanks for having me.